Hello and welcome to another video. So today we're taking a look at a mid-ShadowCraft deck and using some of the new cards. This is Deadly Dreamer, one of the better cards that have come out of this expansion for ShadowCraft. Being an amulet that summons ghosts off it is really nice and a really solid early game body. Bone Drone, probably one of my favourite named cards. Fan Last Word, Summoning an Assembly Droid, definitely a good flood mechanic card, really solid for that. Otherwise, we're running mostly very similar cards to normal, nothing too crazy, and we're really just kind of finishing them off by swarming the board. We're also running the Amethyst Rebel because that's an extremely solid card as well for both flooding the board defensively and of course setting up when you need it. So we're going to get right into this and take a look. So some of you guys might have seen me play this deck for the story mode. That's probably where you will have seen it, as that's most likely what I will be using. So I'm glad they added the Asunia maps to the rotation. That's actually really cool. I was hoping that would happen eventually. And starting off with a very weak hand, but moving into a pretty okay hand overall in the end. I mean, we've got the Manifest Malice, which is mediocre, I guess. But everything else in our hand is actually pretty good now. So the Fountain of Angels, not an issue. Deadly Dreamer, put a deep dream into your hand when it's killed. Should help us get as far as quite a bit, if we need it. And since they are going pretty wide here, definitely would help us, since we do get a ghost out of it immediately. And also make a okay setup for other cards later on. Ideally a Bone Drone would have been great. Not getting it isn't the biggest deal in the world though. We can still swarm this board fairly easily, which is always a good thing. Friend Monster Girls should be able to take this out. And having a 2-2 and a 3-2 on turn 4, not the worst situation. Peerless Shot is a little rough though. And I do believe I make a small misplay up ahead, because I try to ram the ghost into the Peerless Shot after the Cerberus play, and that doesn't really go the way I thought it would due to, of course, the banish and not the destruction effect. But making the chance was okay, taking the chance on it. It wasn't the end of the world. I just could have done better trading. So a second Peerless Shot is definitely rough. At least this gives us a chance to clear the other one, which it did. Now things get more interesting, since we are going for another flood turn, hopefully. Since we are looking to play either Omen of Craving or Gremmery next turn. I would prefer Gremmery because it gives us a better chance at drawing, but Omen of Craving isn't bad if you are aiming for that decent healing, which we may need at this point. So now we have a chance to go for this. I did decide to take the Deep Dream option though. Try to buy us one more turn. Kind of taking it on the slower side of this matchup, which might not have been the right move, but I felt like it was at the time. And this definitely didn't work out in my favor, since I couldn't actually play any of my buffs, so that was a little disappointing. If I had had a way to get rid of the 0-1, I would have been okay, but unfortunately we missed that opportunity. And now we're in a very rough spot. They did a really good buff, and now we are forced to deal with this board as best we can. It's not going to be an impossible task, it's just not the optimal thing that you want to be doing right now. So I decided to sacrifice the 0-1, I wanted it off the board at this point. I felt like it was going to be okay to use it there. just before we go into a massive board flood again, with another, of course, ends, which is good. Because we are going to lose that amulet next turn, which means we do free up a board slot, regardless of if they leave us to brick our hand. And our board, which isn't as big a deal. So 5, 3, and 2. More than enough to finish that game off. And now for our next game, we are up against Sword. I feel like I've fought Sword in almost every video since this expansion started, because it is just such a common matchup that you are bound to fight it quite regularly. At least in these few beginning days of this expansion. Or, well, by the time this video probably goes out for you guys, it'll be almost a week. Things should honestly be settling down compared to when I'm playing right now. But, getting into it, we've got a fairly stable hand, especially since we did draw a Deadly Dreamer right at the start. Honestly, she is definitely the optimal turn 2 play. There's really not a lot of weakness to playing her. And I'm going to get a chance to flood the board a little bit. I'm mainly aiming to build a big board presence at this point. Even if we lose a few things, it's not really a big deal to me. So Bone Drone and an attack is definitely plenty. I'm hitting for that psychological 0 damage. The odd Crescent Blade, so that one's definitely going to be used to take some stuff out. I mean, they don't have a reason not to. And I'm probably just going to throw the Hound to the board next turn. There's really no reason to not do that. Hound with an Evo, a little bit of face damage, set up a really solid board of 4 damage followers. Thanks to, of course, the pings, which makes it a lot harder for them to just ram things into it. We're always going to be trading up positively, which is good. And there is it, Celia Hope Strategist, so our chance of hitting the 1-1 is 1 in 3. Let's see what our luck is like. Not quite good enough, unfortunately. Buffalo Bones, though, is a really solid card. And of course, Lady Grey. Because she will clear the 4-3 and will allow us to get something back, so why not? At this point, there is not much recovery for our opponent going into turn 7. Buffalo restocks our board, basically everything else stabilizes us. There's really not a lot they can do. So, Gremmary's probably the on the play. We're not going to quite win with this, I don't think, but our opponent did end up conceding anyway, so it wasn't really going to matter whether we went for Gremory or for the 3-5. So I hope you guys were able to enjoy this video. This deck did fairly well considering I don't play a lot of Shadow anymore, not like I used to really. I used to play a lot more mid-Shadow than I do now, but getting back into mid-Shadow a little bit since we have got a lot of these cards, and this deck performed fairly well for me at the time. Hopefully it will continue to do so. I didn't have much use for things like Fafnir or really Omen of Craving and Gremory much, but they do make the difference overall when you are getting to those final stages. You really just need to keep the board flood up with everything else until you can reach those, and honestly, Azure Maiden does a wonderful job on 8 if you are lacking in that, since you can get this very easily. So if you guys enjoyed the video, hit the like button and subscribe for more content. You'll find deck list in the description below. Until next time, see ya.